Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism or to our congregation, we want to get to know you and share a part of your journey. If this place is already your spiritual home, welcome once more. We need one another, and it is good to be together again. Through the gifts of technology, we also gather virtually to celebrate community and connections as we lean into the values of justice, compassion, and reason. Welcome to all those who are joining us in this way today. Together, we learn the love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service this morning. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love.
Arise, O souls, arise.
Mercy, mercy, that was not meant to happen like that. Church, good morning. Hi, Jamie, how's it going? Good to see you. I'm Joseph Davis. I'm a member here at All Souls. It's my privilege to greet you on this. It's cold. It's just cold. Let's just say it plain. I'm echoing the message in the video, and we welcome those here in person and online. Hello. Out there in the virtual world, who have chosen to set aside this special time to be with us. Our welcome extends to those who have long been a part of All Souls and those who are here for the first time. In the spirit of inclusion, we ask after the service that you please seek out the new faces among us and introduce yourselves, introduce them to others. It may be the beginning of warm and long relationships. I am living proof of that. Today, we warmly welcome again to the pulpit our minister, Erin Dajka Holley, for her second sermon. Reverend Holley was selected after an extensive search by a hardworking search committee. The committee did its job very well. At All Souls, we covenant to dwell together in peace and to seek the truth in love while helping one another. And today, the good Reverend will share her perspective on how we may change and grow to better achieve those goals. And so let us welcome her to the pulpit.
Our opening words this morning are by Sharon Wiley. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you. Every part of you, beautiful just the way you are. Here, you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding. No exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here, nothing to prove to me or the person sitting next to you or to the children or to anyone. You don't have to try and be witty or more quiet or more outgoing. You are beautiful. Every part of you, beautiful just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful just the way they are. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you different from each and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. Let us worship together. Chalice.
Good morning. I'm Zach, and I light this chalice for the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
Together, let us affirm as you stand or join in the affirmation of our covenant, and then we ask that you remain standing and join in song number 1053, How Could Anyone? So let us affirm that goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another.
As he joins me on the dais this morning, I want us to welcome our good friend Seth Golay, who's here to help us with our hymns, and he'll be doing a beautiful song for the offertory that I love very much, and it's entitled Love Who You Love. Join us now as we sing How Could Anyone?
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Our commitment to human fellowship means that we are called upon to be glad with those who rejoice and to weep with those who mourn. Thus, we set aside this time in our gathering to share with one another the joys and concerns which are now shaping our lives. May the beauty and the sweetness of these brief flowers remind us to hold one another in the bonds of sympathy, encouragement, and care. So to do this morning, I will invite you to come forward and share briefly at the microphone what is on your heart. For the first section, we'll still have the cameras on, and then I will, when it feels like there are fewer people who are interested in sharing, I will announce that we're going to turn off the cameras and the microphones for the streamline or the online streaming, so that if you would like to share without it being on YouTube, you have the opportunity to do that. So I invite anyone forward who would like to share a joy or concern and place a flower into the vase.
You can't run a democracy without voting. So I want to lift up not only all the people who voted in the latest incarnation of elections, but also all the people for decades and decades going back who worked so hard to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to vote. So I'm lifting all those people up, and I think we all those people a great amount of gratitude.
Yep.
Bonnie Schwarzenholz, the chair of our Caring Connection, fell and broke her arm again. She had surgery on Friday, I believe it was, but Bonnie, she's always upbeat and positive, and this is for her.
My concern this morning is that in my dotage, I forgot it was somebody's birthday. So I need your help here. Someone I think a few of you know, Miss Carol Fields, hiding in the corner back here. Are we ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carol. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, thank you.
I have two joys this morning. I'm so thankful that later you will get to hear from two young people, Isaac and Luna, singing a very special song to them and to us. It has a great message. So we have a lot of great music this morning. And I have another joy. Scott, many of you know, has been going through cancer treatments, and he has finished. So we are, thank you. So we're excited that he can now begin the healing process that is required after all that. So thank you for your concern and your help, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, wow. See, I don't do this for a living.
Well, I also am under treatment for cancer, and they removed all the brain cancers. So all the parts of my brain that are missing carried a lot of memories. And so when I look at people strangely, it's that part of my brain is not there anymore. So I have to start learning things over again. But I'm on a medication called Keytruda, which is fairly new, and it's a chemo that doesn't make you sick. And the first set of treatments took the lung cancer down by half. Now, I can't expect that sort of result very long, but I'm going to keep up with it as long as my body will take it.
really nervous, sorry. My name is Ashley. I'll be joining the church in a couple weeks. I wanted to share basically the concern of I've been in a really abusive relationship that I just got out of and lost a lot of my life. But the joy is that I am now able to find myself, and I have people like you that are welcoming to people like me. And I'm in the middle of a custody battle, so hopefully you'll get to meet my girls too at one point, and everybody will heal. But I guess my joy is finding this place. So thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Good catch.
Good morning. It's a real joy to see all of your faces and to be here with you. I want to give you an update. I am about halfway through a 9-week course of physical therapy and rehab, and I've made enough progress that I can attend my minister's study group that I've been going to for 30 years, which is meeting this year for the first time in 3 years after COVID. So I'm really happy to be able to be with them this week. I also wanted to give you a note about Monty, the white cat who was outside this morning. We know him. He visits us frequently. He lives here in the neighborhood, and we have talked with his owners, and he has permission to roam. They are aware that he is aspiring to become a religious liberal, and they're okay with it. However, we do not let him into the building. Feel free to pet him and play with him outside as much as you like. He enjoys that, but don't let him in. We are hopeful that he's helping to discourage any rodent population around the outside of the building, so we're always happy to see him.
So kind of a joy and a proud father moment. This last Tuesday, we took Zach, our oldest, down, and he voted in his first election. So
I'm Allie. I used to be a member of the church many years ago and then kind of disappeared. And I just got out of like a whole string of various abusive relationships and have moved in with my best friend, and I'm very happy and thankful for him to be back in KC and to be like healing a bunch of injuries I got. I'm doing good. I'm happy to be like meet you guys again.
Hi, I'm Terry. Thank you. I'm very short. Thank you. You understand that.
I do. That's why we're heels.
There we go. Good morning. My name is Terry, and I feel a little weird because I'm not really a member yet. So I'm just kind of on the cusp. But I want to tell you, I'm so grateful to be in a congregation that puts their actions into actual, or their feelings into actual actions. And one thing that has been a great, I can't use the word blessing, but wonderful gift for me personally is a teacher who spent her whole life working with kids, is that through your church and the volunteers at George Washington Carver Elementary School, I have been able to meet so many wonderful kids, but I'll tell you about two. Tomas and Wally. And they are precious as can be. They came here from Mexico not that long ago with no English. And they have such a spirit of learning, wanting to learn, wanting to share, and they're just great huggers. And by being able to share whatever little gifts I have with them, they have given me so very much. So hold Tomas and Wally as they go through this journey of becoming citizens here in the United States. It's not easy. And just hold them in your heart, please.
I'm Carolyn. I'd like to honor and help us remember all of those of us who have gotten older, and people seem to think that we can still do what we used to do. And many of us are not very good at doing that, and I want to remind people to be gentle with us when we can't do what we used to be able to do, because it's very frustrating to us also. I'd like to mention that this is a time when I've been getting all kinds of calls about various Medicare Advantage plans. And one of the first things that said is, are you between the age of 50 and 80? And I say, no. and they look at me, and I said, I'm older than that range. And so, again, please remember us, and we do what we can. And we also remember a lot of old stories, so that's one way we're of use to everybody at the church.
Thank you.
Hello. You all know me. I'm Sebastian. I recently took a trip down to Florida to help with the hurricane. Thank you all so much for your generosity as far as helping me with the fuel costs, the hotel costs, the resort stay that I stayed at. Sounds like a resort. It's not. It's not. It's a desolate place. There are many, 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 many more years of recovery going to happen down in Florida. On my way back, I made a lateral move because I was curious of what happened to New Orleans. New Orleans is still devastated. A lot still happening in New Orleans. So when I went down there were one of the first ladies that I came in contact with. She was a senior. She has nobody. She's working. She's living in a homeless shelter and has been. It's the rising costs for our seniors. You know, it's when we have to get out and speak to our public officials and we go to the polls to vote for these things. You know, make sure that that's somebody that you know has our intentions, best intentions. If a natural disaster were to happen here in Kansas City, who's going to be there for you? Florida doesn't have that. New Orleans doesn't have that. So I thank you all for your generosities. And as you went to the polling booth, I hope that when we hear of a natural disaster like that, that we look at each other, because we're going to be each other's shoulder and we're going to be each other's person to stand next to, because it's not going to be your public official. I want to thank this congregation very, very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you.
I'm going to ask our wonderful tech deck to turn off the cameras in case anyone would like to share without being on YouTube. I will place this final flower for all of the outreachings of the Spirit that abide unspoken in our hearts. And please join me in our congregational response. Community is the Spirit, the guiding light of the tribe, whereby people come together in order to fulfill a specific purpose, to help others fulfill their purpose, and to take care of one another. Thank you.
Now we will send the children to their classes in song.
Thank you to whoever put the stepping stool. I'm Cynthia Butcher. I am in a dual role today. As the board says, I am the gender and sexuality advocate, but I am also the coming of age, one of two coming of age instructors, and I get to that role this year with Joe Robertson. I think I can speak for Joe. We are so grateful to have this opportunity to work with our coming of age youth. They are an amazing, amazing bunch. And I want to share a quick example of that with you. Last night, I was talking to another parent of a 15-year-old who is on their journey in their transitioning, trying to figure out who they are, where they fit with their body, what that means to them, and what it means to the family. And this is a relatively new process for them. I mean, they've seen signs. You always see a few signs. But this is a new thing, and the mom, knowing that I have a trans child, asked if we could sit and talk for a bit. And as we discussed things, they brought up the fact that their fears for their child were not of their peers, it was of the adults. And that their peers had accepted them with an open heart, with open minds. And it reminded me of my own child's journey at that age, where he had decided to live fully as he. He had always presented, but he changed his name, changed his pronouns. And it wasn't his peers. Our fear was that at school he would be bullied. That wasn't the case. His peers protected him. They made sure that when he needed to change at the school swimming pool, that he had a stall, he had to go into the women's room, but that he was protected in there, and that no one questioned him, and that they allowed him his privacy to change. They protected him in the hallways. They protected him in the classrooms. They accepted him as the person he is. And it brings me back to our coming of age youth in that they have that same mindset. It isn't our upcoming generation I worry for. It is ours. And so as kids like Zach mature, become of voting age, I know that they are going to make great choices in this world. I don't fear for that. And that brings me to the coming of age trip. Part of the Boston trip is learning about our forefathers, learning about what it took to build this country and how they had conflicting ideas. And there was a lot of arguments and there were a lot of discussions, but there was great compromise in developing our Constitution and developing the foundation of our country. And it's that compromise we've seemed to have forgotten. And that, unfortunately, we still have a problem with in our government. And so I want you to know that when we go back to Boston, the next group will again have the opportunity to learn about how to argue, about great compromise, about not attacking the person, but diving in and developing an idea, and that it takes two sides to do that. And they're going to progress that by going to the UUA social justice arm and going to that organization and seeing what they're doing now in the world to help promote social justice issues. And so today's offering is to go towards the cost of covering the Boston trip. We have appreciated this congregation's support. We appreciate your continued support through various fundraisers, through coffee in the lobby, and other things that we're going to do throughout the year. And so we now ask for the ushers to come up and to have the offering. If you will write coming of age on the memo line, if you're writing a check, we would appreciate that.
I'm not one to lecture, how could I dare? Someone like me who's been mainly nowhere, but in my experience, be as it may, you just have to love who you love. You just have to love who you love. Your common sense tells you best not begin, but your fool heart cannot help plunging in, and nothing and no one can stand in your way. You just have to love who you love. You just have to love who you love. People can be hard sometimes, and their words can cut so deep. Choose the ones who choose love and don't lose a moment's sleep. Who can tell you who to love? Who can tell you what you were destined to be? Take it from me. There's no fault in loving, no call for shame. Everyone's heart does exactly the same. And once you believe that, you learn how to say, I love who I love, who I love. So just go and love who you love.
Now I have to talk without crying. Thank you, Seth. Would you join me in the dedication of the offering, please? We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marlene Burpee. This is from the Trans Allyship Workbook by Davy Schlasko. Most of the time, most of us are kind of on autopilot about pronouns. We call all women she, her, hers, all men he, him, his. But being on autopilot can lead people to refer to someone with a pronoun that isn't what they're usually called or isn't what they want to be called. And for many trans people, this is one of the most painful things anyone could possibly call them. But why? Why should this be so painful? Why is a pronoun slip-up such a big deal? It's because when we use a gendered pronoun for someone, we are in effect announcing that person's gender. And most of us feel attached to our gender as a core aspect of our identity. So when you announce an incorrect pronoun for someone, it can imply you don't recognize or believe in that individual's gender identity. Being mispronounced can have a particularly negative impact on trans people. That's because most cisgender people can comfortably assume their gender's obvious and legitimate. But trans people's genders are contested all the time. Many trans people have become accustomed to their genders being questioned, ignored, or denied in almost every interaction. And this is especially true for those whose transitions are recent, or who often experience strangers guessing their genders wrong, or who identify outside the two socially sanctioned gender categories. Many trans people experience physical and emotional violence based on others' denial of or objection to their gender identities. So pronoun slip-ups, however unintentional, are connected to the broader reality of systemic violence against trans people. So at best, a pronoun slip-up can indicate that the speaker may have an unconscious bias toward understanding the world through a lens of binary gender system. And at worst, a pronoun slip-up can communicate hostile intentions, and it can signal real danger.
Do-wop, ba-da-do-wop, ba-da-do-wop, ba-da-do, wella, 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 do-wop, ba-da-do-wop, ba-da-do-wop, ba-da-do, wella, 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 do-wop, ba-da-do-wop, ba-da-do-wop, ba-da-do, wella, 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 do-wop, ba-da-do-wop, ba-da-do-wop, ba-da-do.
I've been feeling lightheaded since I lost enough weight to fit back in my skin. Flower petals and feathers tether me to the ground, pound for pound. Take my tea with formaldehyde for my feminine side since the day that I died. While I whittle my bones until I'm brittle, am I pretty now? For some reason I find myself lost in what you think of me, and too confused to choose who I should be. And now you got me thinking I wish I could be a girl, and that way you wish I could be your girlfriend, boyfriend. Am I pretty enough to lie to? Oh, wow.
I wish I could be a girl, and that way you'd wish I could be your girlfriend, boyfriend. Just little old me in a big, big world. Ow, ow, ow. I, little old me in a big world. I wish I were a girl. I've been feeling lighthearted since I gained enough weight back to cover my bones. I get dressed up in shadows, one leg at a time. We're so alike. But if the shoe fits, then I won't try it on. And you'll be walking out early, but the show must go on. Now, I know that I'm wrong, but I love that you're on my side when I cross that line. It's been a point of contention between myself and this body that they stuck me in. The privilege of being born to be a man. And now you got me thinking, I wish I could be a girl, and that way you'd wish I could be a girlfriend, boyfriend. Am I pretty enough to lie to? Oh, oh.
I wish I could be a girl, and that way you wish I could be your girlfriend, boyfriend. Just a little old me in a big, big world. Wow. I, little old me in a big world. I wish. Eating your prosthetics, meet your anesthetic criteria, pathetic. Seeing you become aesthetic, say my name like a slur. But I've been called worse, and I've heard it all before. No, this isn't a first. Let me be the void you fill with taxidermy, fingerprints, taxonomize our differences. I am quantum physics. My witness brings me into existence. I wish I could be a girl, and that way you wish I could be your girlfriend, boyfriend. Am I pretty enough to love back? No, not yet. I wish I could be a girl, and really I'd prefer it if you would use I, me, myself. Am I pretty enough? Am I pretty enough to even die? Little old me in a big world. Well, I would give you my whole world. Oh, 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 oh. Little old me in a big world. I wish all identities are equally invalid. Don't you think that there's a chance that you could live without it? All identities are equally invalid. Don't you think that there's a chance that you could live without it? All identities are equally invalid. Don't you think that there's a chance that you could live without it? All identities are equally invalid. Don't you think that there's a chance that you?
Okay. Our second reading, oh, thank you, Anthony. And thank you so much, Anthony, for making these musical dreams come true. Our second reading is an excerpt from the video Trust Talks, which is the transgender religious professional Unitarian Universalists Together group, created for the Unitarian, so this group created for the Unitarian Universalist Association this video to better educate about the experience of trans and non-binary UU religious professionals. So this is a tiny piece of a much longer video. And this excerpt features Mix Alex Capitan, who is a professional lay UU leader and is non-binary. Alex uses Z-Zir pronouns.
One of the things that is hardest in any space, but in UU spaces as much as any other, is the idea that my sense of self and my identity are too much for people. So whenever I'm in a space where the expectation is that everyone in the world can be divided into female and male camps, I feel invisible. I feel like I'm not supposed to exist. And that space could be anywhere from an airport that only has female and male bathrooms, to a church where the responsive reading gets divided into women's voices and men's voices. It can really be anywhere where these sorts of assumptions get made around the fact that everybody in the room is a woman or a man, or is a girl or a boy, and that's not my reality. So every time that happens, it has an impact. I feel my heart beat faster. I feel my breath quicken. I feel the physical impact of being expected to not exist or to be able to conform in order to survive, really, pick a bathroom in order to be able to make it through my day. And that has a really lasting impact, and a really, unwelcoming is to say the least, right? Impact on my ability to access places of worship, to be able to be a leader in, places of employment, things like this. It makes it really difficult to do that when you're sort of expected to fit yourself into two boxes that don't work. That's what's hardest for me, is when I'm in those situations where I'm not supposed to exist, or my existence just is experienced as something that makes things harder for people, that I'm just too complicated for folks to be able to understand. And let's start simpler first, as if you're ever going to come back.
You matter to me. I hope to see you as a whole person, with likes and dislikes, defining characteristics, and an appearance that is uniquely you, your passion in life. You are amazing through everything you've suffered and everything you've enjoyed, for the ways in which you've loved, for your smile, for the ways you see yourself, which might not be the way you show yourself to the world. It is important that you exist. There's so much about you that I can't tell just looking at you or shaking your hand after the service. I can't tell how many times your heart has broken. It doesn't show whether you are a cat person, a dog person, a bunny rabbit person, or a fish person. I'd have to ask you whether you have dietary restrictions. Are you vegetarian, gluten-free, eat just about everything, or adverse to many vegetables like me? Truth story, don't feed me salad. In truth, I can't tell your gender either by looking at you. There are hints: the length of your hair, the style of your clothes, your body shape, the way you hold yourself. All of these provide clues about your gender, but clues are not definitive. No matter what you wear or whether hair grows on your chin, there's only one way for me to know your gender, and that would be for me to ask. Now, if I did ask, how would you feel? I imagine that for most of you, you would first be shocked that I asked, because your gender has been the same for your whole life. It matches what was put on your birth certificate when you were born, and you probably haven't given it that much thought. It's the way you've always been, and the clothes you've always been expected to wear, and the hairstyles you've been expected to have. For the most part, they fit who you are. You were told that you were a boy or a girl, and as you aged into a man or a woman, it felt just fine. Or, at least, Mostly fine. Fine enough that if I ask you your gender or your pronouns, you'd be confused that I asked because it should be obvious. But it isn't like that for everyone. Gender is deeply personal because it's about who we are and what feels right. Just because a baby looks a certain way when they're born does not mean that what they feel will match the traits on their body. We are so diverse as people, each unique with our own ways of being part of the world. I hope it makes sense that how we experience gender is just as diverse as our tastes in music. Our society defined only 2 genders that match the most common sex traits, but some cultures have more than 2. And people today have a variety of ways to think about their gender. Most of us are cisgendered, which means that our gender matches what we were assigned at birth. Being cisgendered or just cis is convenient because it matches our society's expectations. Transgender has 2 meanings. It can mean a cross-gender, such as a person who was assigned male at birth, determining that she is actually a woman. Transgender, or simply trans, is also an umbrella term for any person who is not cisgendered. The term non-binary, or NB, means that a person identifies as neither a man nor a woman. They might be some combination of both, something separate completely from male-female, or just not associate with gender at all. There are so many ways of being a gender or not that there are lots of terms for genders and ways of being. I can't include all of them in a sermon, but I encourage you to do an internet search to learn more, because our understanding of gender is constantly changing and growing. So all of us have plenty to keep learning all of the time. I am cisgendered, and I've done some study, but don't think me an expert because I'm not one. I just think that this matters a lot. Because your gender matters. However you identify, you are sacred in your identity. You matter because of how you experience gender. Okay, I'm going to admit it here. I really care about grammar and usage. I'm the kind of person who cares about subject-verb agreement, and you can drag the Oxford comma out of my cold, dead hands. So I will tell you that I have struggled with learning new pronouns. I've fought inside myself about the singular they that is the most common pronoun used by non-binary folks. I once railed against referring to a single person while using plural verbs forms. For example, I like Sam. They are a neat person. It feels like it sounds clunky, and my computer's grammar check has underlined almost that entire sentence. How can my language be precise when I'm using plural forms for a single person? This can't be right. So for a little while, I toyed with trying to start a trend to do it right. But the moment I considered saying they is, I shut my mouth. I did calm myself down a lot more when I recognized that the English language has used the singular they for centuries, usually when the gender of the person is unknown. Somebody lost their umbrella. I'll leave it here in case they come looking for it. That feels perfectly natural. We've been doing it forever. Also, don't get me started on the old pronoun thou, which was the singular second person pronoun for a long time, until it was replaced by the previously only plural you. So we already have a plural pronoun that we use for the singular as well. This they, it's not new. I had to get over it, and I hope you will too. There are new pronouns, though, and many of them. Non-binary folks are a creative lot, and wanting to be precise with their language, they developed pronouns like z, a, per, and fey. And there are more. That's just like my top 4. And these are a lot harder to learn, but it can be really interesting to look them up, find out about them, and figure out how to use these new pronouns in sentences. So Alex Capitan from the video uses Z. It's easy to say Z teaches about how we can be welcoming of trans and non-binary folks. But you might have to do some thinking and look it up to be able to come up with, we have a lot to learn from Zir. That is the object version of the pronoun Z. Worth looking up. Now, I hope that you've heard me say that I've gotten frustrated learning pronouns, and that I've resisted learning how to use language differently, or to learn these whole new words from scratch. And let me say why it was so hard for me. Because caring about my trans and non-binary siblings required me to change. It required me to make an effort and to change. And change is hard. This is going to require all of us to change. We have things to learn, new patterns, new words, new names. And that's hard. It takes effort. We have to practice. We have to learn the new ways. We have to put the effort in order to care for these wonderful people among us who are asking us to. The learning is especially hard when you've known someone already, maybe their whole life, and they have a new name or pronoun. It's so easy to slip into the way you've already known them, but every time you don't stop to correct yourself, or you don't correct someone else, it does harm. Your own brain reinforces the old way, making it harder to learn the new way unless you remind yourself. And the other person who just heard you misgender somebody is going to believe that the wrong name or the wrong pronoun is actually correct. And then they're going to use it. And then more people are going to use it. And we have to stop that process and start using the right names. Start using the right pronouns. And only practice is going to make learning a new name or a pronoun happen. We have to practice. We have to take the time. I recommend finding a partner to have a conversation with, where you both talk wonderful things about a person with a new name or pronoun, and simply practice using it. Talk to yourself about that person, even out loud, forming new neural pathways. Journal, practicing pronouns in different ways in sentences until it feels comfortable. This sounds like a lot, but it's the least that we can do. My spouse and I have promised to correct each other when we get someone's name or pronoun wrong. It's just a simple moment. I might say she, and my spouse will immediately say they. I correct myself, and the conversation continues. So I hope that you will also practice correcting yourself and others, because this is how we learn. If a trans or non-binary person corrects you, I hope you'll be gracious. There's no need to make a big deal out of it, to bring attention to it, to quickly say, I'm sorry, thank you, and then repeat what you said, but using the right name or pronoun is the perfect response. Just a quick, I'm sorry, thank you. Let me say that again. Your pronouns matter. They reflect an aspect of who you are. To use the wrong pronoun ignores your truth and causes you harm. You matter, so your pronouns matter. I acknowledge that this has probably felt a little bit more like a lecture than a sermon. Thank you for staying with me, though. I don't know, because I'm so new here, how much you know about trans and non-binary people. And so I thought starting with some basic information would be a helpful thing, and I hope that you have accepted that. It matters that because we have some wonderful trans and non-binary folks here at All Souls who want to be seen and acknowledged for who they are. Your care with names and pronouns matters. Because the people around us matter. Because we are a faith community that believes in love above all else and helping trans and non-binary folks feel truly welcome and seen here is a part of that love. And it's easy to sit back here where I can preach a sermon about supporting trans and non-binary folks without worry. Because we know that we support their presence. We have pronoun stickers for our name tags. There are bathrooms downstairs that are single bathrooms so that it doesn't matter what gender you are when you use them. And we might want to find other ways to extend our welcome, to make it truly known that we are a congregation that welcomes radically people of all genders. Because the trans community is under threat. The trans community is under threat. There are politicians who have identified trans folks as the terrible kind of people that the country should be against. Here in Missouri, there are 8 bills in process right now that target trans people. 8, just here. 5 of them target student athletics and who is allowed to compete on which gendered team, essentially trying to discourage or ban trans athletes from participating. 2, ban medical treatments that help young people match their bodies to their gender identities. They just strictly ban it. You're not allowed to, a doctor can't prescribe medicines and do things to help minors, young people, to feel right in their bodies and have that match. And the last one makes it impossible to change a person's sex on their birth certificate, even if a person has had gender-affirming surgery. Whatever's on your birth certificate, you'd be stuck with it in the state of Missouri. These are all in the legislature right now. And these bills are designed to deny the personhood of transgendered people, and they're especially targeting our kids. And these are steps toward making it illegal to be transgender. Let's look at it that way. Little bits, pieces of trying to make society think that being transgender is some horrible, moral, terrible thing, which it's not. That transgender people are terrible people, which they're not. They're wonderful people who suffer terribly under society's non-acceptance. The politicians behind these bills are intentionally fueling trans hate, which is making it even more dangerous to be trans. Some of that danger is external, as the hatred can lead to violence against individuals. Let's just be truth. Violence against people because they're trans. These laws that ban young people from receiving gender-affirming treatments, though, those pose a threat to the young people's well-being. When they know who they are and need this help to have their physical experience match their true selves, receiving that help offers both support of who they are and allows them to feel at home in their bodies. This is literally life-saving care that we're looking at banning. It's not okay. A week from today will be this year's Transgender Day of Remembrance. It is a day to acknowledge the hundreds of deaths worldwide of trans people, most due to violence. It is right to mark this truth of the constant threat upon trans lives. And let us also rejoice those who are here with us now and whom we might welcome in the future. So especially now, let's become aware of the ways in which we as a church community can be as open and as welcoming of our trans and non-binary siblings as possible. Taking care with names and pronouns is just one step in that direction. Notice when someone has a pronoun sticker on their name tag and make that effort to learn it if it doesn't come naturally to you. Believe me when I say, whoever you are welcome here. Whether trans, non-binary, or cis, you belong in this community. We will strive to make a place for you so that you feel at home. We will learn your name and pronouns. We will seek to know who you are and what you love in life. You matter in the fullness of who you are. May you know that you are loved. Blessed be. Amen. Please join in singing our next hymn, Answering the Call of Love.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as heart beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning when love will not divide. Inflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are standing on the soul of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
We release this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. May we answer the call of love every day, breaking our hearts open to the change that calls us forward to show our love to those around us and the world.